Um, As a preliminary matter, this is Brian Sullivan, the chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
Reema Sherry?
Aye.
Allie, are you no longer a member? You're now staff? How is the shift? No longer
I'm
a member?
staff.
Okay.
Yeah, no longer member.
I'll save you for a minute. Okay, so I'll stop there. Members of the staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tucker Holland,
Here.
Allison Mitchell,
Here.
Ken Bogran,
Present.
and that's it at the moment. Anticipated speakers on the agenda. Tucker, I don't see, forgive me, our attorney.
Vicki Marsh.
Vicki.
And she's coming in right now, Brian.
Okay, great. I'll stall for a minute for Vicki. Actually, I'll come back to Vicki and I'll keep reading. Good afternoon. This is an open meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust that's being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Affordable Housing Trust is convening by video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that the meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to trust members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We will shortly turn to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by their name to provide comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or your computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any responses, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in any conversations with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment to the members of the public that have joined the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public who wish to speak have to state their name and will be acknowledged by the chair and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken during this meeting will be conducted by roll call. I'd like to just come back and confirm that Vicki Marsh is here and can hear me. I'm getting a wave, but I see you're still on mute. So I just want to make sure that you're.
I am here. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thanks, Vicki. And
Okay.
Brooke, I see that you came in, another trust member.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. And with that, we'll turn to, and Don
Brian,
Holgate.
John Holgate also. Yep.
Great,
Present.
great. Thank you, Don. Okay, with that, we'll move to the first item on the agenda, which is an approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Great. By roll call, Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Reema Sherry,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
Brooke Mohr,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan is an aye. Item number 3 on the agenda is really not an agenda item, so I think I can move past that without a vote. Item number 4 for public comment for anything that is not on the agenda. We have a significant number of members of the public. Would anybody like to make a comment for an item that is not listed on the agenda? Seeing no hands or motions, I'll close item number 4 and move on to item 5. Request from Richard Meadows, 2 P2A for the subordination of the mortgage on 2 Wildflower Drive. I think this was going to be the second motion that we were looking for clarification from Vicki on from holdover of last meeting on Tuesday. Tucker, do you want to take this for a reading or Vicki?
I'll defer to town council.
Okay.
Thank you, Tucker. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this matter is for subordination of mortgage. The mortgage is held by the trust on property at 2 Wildflower Drive and 1-3 Pimpernel Place, Nantucket. The property is going to have the developer is going to have a new lender that has requested that we subordinate our present mortgage to their mortgage, and the new lender is going to be Eastern Bank. This does not adversely affect our position as we were already in a second place position behind a first mortgage. So we are just merely, they are merely substituting their Eastern Bank mortgage for their prior mortgage, and we're going to sit in second place behind it. I recommend that the board consider whether they want to agree to the subordination of the mortgage.
Thank you, Vicki. Open for questions or discussion from members of the board. Seeing none, look for a motion from the board. Brooke?
I move that we approve the request as noted, as written in the agenda for the loan subordination.
Second.
Motion from Brooke, second from Dawn. Penny?
Yeah, are we voting the partial release separately from this?
Yes.
Yes, Vicki. Okay, yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, by roll call, Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Reema Sherry,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
Brooke Mohr,
Aye.
Brian Sullivan's an aye. Item number 6. So this is the partial release. I'll come back to you, Vicki.
So this is a request also from Richmond Meadows to P2A LLC. In your meeting just the other day, you had agreed to an assent to a plan that would have subdivided what was lot 959 into several other smaller lots, which are then going to be added to the adjacent property. This is a partial release of the mortgage that the trust holds on these on lot 959 and allows for the release of these smaller lots that were created and which will now be added to the duplex lots adjacent to lot 959. Again, it doesn't adversely affect the fact that we still hold a mortgage on this property and the amount of money that is due under the mortgage is still secure.
Questions or comments for town council? Go ahead, Tucker.
Vicki, just with this and with the prior, do you need an authorization from the board for the chair or vice chair to sign on behalf of the trust?
If they wish to have just the chair or vice chair sign so they do not have to all sign, yes, I will just need a separate vote, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to go backwards and move to authorize the chair or vice chair to execute the subordination of the one we just approved. Do we need that separately, Vicki?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll make that motion on the prior item so we can finish that one up.
Second.
Okay, that's first and seconded by roll call. Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Reema Sherry,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
Brooke Mohr,
Aye,
Brian Sullivan's an aye. Do you want to make this?
sure. So
Thank you.
I will move to accept the request as noted in item 6 and authorize the chair or vice chair to execute the partial release of the mortgage on behalf of the trust. Is
Second.
that okay?
So that's a motion by Brooke, a second by Penny, by roll call. Dave Iverson,
Aye.
Penny Dye,
Aye.
Reema Sherry,
Aye.
Don Holgate,
Aye.
Brooke Mohr,
Aye.
and Brian Sullivan's an aye. Okay, that's the White Street. Okay, so now we're on to item number 7. Vicki, you're all set with that one? If I'm just looking through those. Okay, so item number 7, the White Street purchase. Tucker, do you want to make a presentation to start here?
Sure. I mean, I can say a few words, and then we are also joined by representative of the Bird family, the Bird's daughter, Kara Ellenbird, who is, I think, would like to say a few words as well.
I'm talking about buying a chunk of
Mr.
property.
Balling, if you can mute your microphone, please. Josh, if you can mute, please.
Sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as the board is aware, we were approached by the Bird family, which we're very grateful for, with an intention on their part to sell some vacant land they own at 8 White Street, an approximately 2.8 acre parcel in the Surfside area of the island, for the purposes of serving year-round housing. The Whites and Ken Bogran and I had met a couple of months ago to discuss this. They investigated the opportunity to do a bargain sale and ultimately came back to the trust with a proposed price of $1.2 million for the acquisition. We have subsequently agreed to, in principle, a purchase and sale agreement. And so today, what we're here for really is to approve moving forward with this purchase and executing that purchase and sale agreement. This is not today an approval of any particular development to be done at this site. That's a process that is entirely separate and would take place at a later time, and obviously have to go before the appropriate permitting boards, depending on the manner of development we ended up choosing to pursue. And we certainly would be intending to make this a very, public involvement process. And I've had the opportunity to hear from several neighbors in the area over the course of the last 48 hours or so, expressing different concerns and interests and so forth. And so that kind of feedback is helpful as we ultimately think about what we would like to do here. I would say that I think it's the board's general intention along the way here to have this serve maybe an area of the community that has not gotten as much attention in the more recent housing efforts. As everyone knows, we've been working hard to reach the 10% requirement that the state mandates. And as everyone knows, the state gives a very heavy incentive for rental projects. And that has really been the focus of a large part of the focus that the funding provided by town meeting has been directed toward. This we view as potentially an opportunity to do something on the ownership side, maybe above the most basic income restriction levels, and really do something quite tasteful and appropriate. So with that, I'd like to give Karen Ellenbird the opportunity to just speak a little bit about her family's intentions here. Kara?
Caroline, before you start, I'm sorry, just 1 second. Somebody just joined the call. They're identified as Mostly Yeast's iPhone. Can you please put your name in so you're identified for us? I'll leave it with that. And then Caroline, please, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm here, representing my family who couldn't join today. But yeah, I just wanted to really state how much I appreciate that you all have worked so carefully and thoroughly to kind of explore how we could make this work. I am the 4th generation of my family on Nantucket out at Surfside. I'm raising my 2 young daughters there now in the summers. Our love and connection to the land, to Surfside, to the neighborhood is very deep. In my lifetime, I've watched it change from wild open moors that I could, bike across and go blueberry picking to a very, very thoroughly developed suburb. And we have this land, we live in a cottage that my grandparents built 70 years ago, but this land was originally bought in case we lost the cottage to the ocean, and we've been stewards of it for these many years. And when we realized we were going to be selling it, we all kind of felt like it was an opportunity to make it available, knowing the crisis of housing on Nantucket, hoping there would be a way that somebody could make use of it year round, that people who are working and living in the daily lives on Nantucket and our Nantucket could be there and could use it. And so we started seeking different possibilities, trying to understand different possibilities, and that led us to you all and to the possibility of the bargain sale as a way to make it work financially, both for us and for the town. So thank you. I appreciate the intentions of the boards to making it scaled to the neighborhood and modest and buffered by the natural landscape, and really excited for future neighbors who may live on this land. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Caroline. As the chairperson and a member of the board, I'm very excited by your family's willingness to bring the property to the trust. We couldn't be more excited to be working with you and for the community. So very much appreciate the opportunity to be here today. With that, I'll open to the board for any questions, comments, thoughts. Vicki, do you have anything about the purchase and sale that you'd like to bring to our attention or discuss?
Not really. I think, again, I want to echo your comments to Caroline. I think it's really wonderful that your family has offered to sell this property to the town for year-round affordable housing. And I really commend you and your family for doing that. I don't have any particular comments on the purchase and sale agreement other than to say that, the property is, the Birds have asked that the property be sold with the restriction that it be used for affordable housing purposes. There is no restriction on the level of income or the type of housing that would be constructed there. And that would be for a later date to be decided, by the board and by future discussions. And again, thank you.
David?
I just wanted to take a moment after reading the letters to just make sure that it's understood that for one, we are so grateful to the Birds for this. And for two, that I don't think that it's any board member's intention to blow this lot up. Okay, we're looking to do the best we can and to not radically change the neighborhood that exists. This is not what we do. We are part of the community. This is not our intention. And I completely understand your concerns. And I completely understand that it's been awkward since most of this has happened in an executive session, but that unfortunately is how we deal with all of our real estate transactions in the beginning. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say to the people that signed on to that letters that we hear you loud and clear, and that we feel strongly about fulfilling the Birds' wishes. at the same time, in working with the neighbors as much as we can to make this a welcome addition to the neighborhood and not a nightmare for you guys. So that's about it. Thanks.
Are there other members? Penny?
Yeah, just a quick follow-up to what Dave just said. There are also going to be limitations based on septic capacity on this lot. And then I have a question through you, Brian, to Vicki about, do we have a contractual obligation to sign this or vote on this soon? That's my question. Do we? Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Vicki?
So in order for us to meet the closing date that we have set in the purchase and sale agreement, we do need to execute this very quickly because we have to meet certain procurement requirements as well under General Laws, Chapter 30B. The Birds have requested that due to the fact that this is a bargain sale, that we close before the end of the calendar year. So we have very limited time in order to be able to get this ready to close. So that's the need for executing this as quickly as possible.
Brooke?
I'd like to help members of the public who are here today understand that the challenge that we face as an affordable housing trust to create year-round housing that's desperately needed in this community in ways that allow Nantucketers to live in various parts of the island, to we often refer to that as scattered site affordable housing, and opportunities like this are rare in a shrinking open land situation in Nantucket. And I want to commend the Bird family for taking the initiative to help this property become housing for folks that make the island run for all of us who are here on this meeting today. And that Nantucketers who live here year round and can't afford also should be able to live in beautiful, bucolic rural neighborhoods in Nantucket. And that is our goal. And I think that is the Bird's goal, to share this beautiful part of Nantucket with folks who live here, work here, hold us up, and make the island run. And that is our job. So I just wanted to make those comments.
Thank you, Brooke. Reema?
Sorry, mute was fighting me. I am a neighbor of this property. I live on 60 Pochick Avenue. Pochick Avenue, my part of Pochick, has 4 affordable rental units. 2 of them that have been here almost as long as I have. They were originally Housing Authority houses that were donated and moved onto the lots. There are also 2 freestanding units on Okra behind us. And I just want to say, first off, the people in these homes make amazing neighbors. They're the best neighbors. You know, it is a neighborhood now. You know, we used to kind of keep to ourselves, but now we have really become a neighborhood, and it's a mixed neighborhood. You know, we have some really big compounds, you know, with all the bells and whistles. And then we have these little houses, and we all live together pretty harmoniously, and it's not a problem. The other thing is this lot is untouched, and it has wonderful natural vegetation that, you know, can easily, sorry, the dogs, be left in place around the edges for buffer zones, and also with frontage on the boulevard. You know, I don't think that would be a traffic affecting your tiny little cul-de-sac. I know it's very sweet and small and quiet, and you know, we don't want to affect any of that. We just want to be able to find land to house year-round community members, because there are so many desperate people out there, and you know, people who were born here and may have to leave. So you know, I really wouldn't be afraid of this, and all of you will have the opportunity to participate as we craft, you know, what we end up doing there. So just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Reema. Dawn?
I mean, I'd just like to echo what everyone else has said, but I mean, this is a tremendous gift to be offered a piece of property like this for this purpose, and very much in keeping with all of the millions of dollars that have been appropriated in the community, recognizing the level of the situation that we have with availability of year-round opportunities at all income levels. And a site like this truly lends itself to a home ownership opportunity. And certainly the trust and the select board would not want their names on anything that wasn't tasteful and in keeping, and something that would have the support of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dawn. Any other comments from the board before I open the opportunity to some of the members of the public that joined us? Seeing none, I will note that we did receive letters from numerous members of the public that have joined us. All members, they were shared with all members of the board, and I believe have been read by everyone. So thank you for sharing them. I want to give anyone and everyone an opportunity to share brief comments today, but if someone has made comments that you have the same thing, please just come on and say, I feel the same way as the person previously. So in the sense of time, we're not hearing the same thing again and again. Does anybody want to make a statement? Reema Finkel?
Hello, everyone. This is all very new to me, so I'm a little nervous about this. But I think our reaction as a community was prompted by the surprise, that lack of knowledge of any of this, and a sense of panic, what's happening. So I appreciate all of your input and information. It's all very new to me and us, and I feel your sensitivity, and I'm grateful for that. I guess the questions that I have is it standard, as far as I was informed, this gift or this sale is coming with an attachment to it that this land must be used only for the purpose of affordable housing, and not as a potential investment property for the trust to use in the future, because clearly it would generate greater income to the trust than its the cost to you now. So is that a standard type of restrictive clause to it? That's my first question. Should I continue, or?
Let's take one question at a time. Vicki, could you identify the restriction specifically?
Yes. So the restriction to this property is that the property be used by the trust for residential year-round affordable housing purposes. And if, despite the trust's diligent efforts to use the property for these purposes, it is unable to do so, then at its discretion, it may convey the property to a third party, and the proceeds of that must be deposited with the trust's funds for affordable housing purposes.
Oh,
okay. So that's the actual restriction that's on the sale to this property. As far as your question of whether this is standard or not, I've represented the town in other transactions where there are other restrictions on the property that are imposed by the seller to the town, or the trust to the buyer. It can happen. Not all transactions are sold with the idea that the buyer can do whatever it wants to do with the property. So in this case, they have restricted it, but there are other means for the trust to be able to address this affordable housing restriction. So there are no limitations as to the type of project that needs to be developed here either. I just want to emphasize that as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicki. Risa, you had one more question?
Yeah, I would like to follow up. So does that, in terms of your answer, does that mean that if the trust does not meet its quota, or however this works with percentages of land mass, whatever, that a 40B subdivision or could be installed there, since is that a consideration?
I can't determine at this time what kind of project will be there at all. But the only restriction that's imposed on the trust that it be used for affordable housing purposes. So the nature of the development that's going to be created there is for future decisions by the trust.
Risa, I'm going to come to Dave Iverson. I think he feels like he can answer some maybe vein of questioning that you might be having.
I just wanted to address the 40B comment because I think that the 40B law, I think, gets a lot of bad press because of some of the 40B projects that we end up with because we're not in safe harbor. It's a longer discussion. But 40B can also be used in a lot of other good ways. So I would urge you to research it and not be afraid. But again, I think it's the board's intention to include all of the abutters in any decision we make going forward. And I know that the executive session deliberation makes you feel like we're trying not to, but that's really not the case. We would hope that you guys, your input will be valuable moving forward, and we'd hope you'd be part of the process. And I just get concerned when people say 40B because it really it envisions really kind of some scary things that is not our intention at all.
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
Penny?
Yeah, I just want to point out too, the use of the word affordable covers a fairly broad range of incomes. And I think we've underserved the higher levels of those incomes, as Tucker was alluding to earlier, for what that's worth. And I think sometimes the density seems to be greater at the lower income levels.
Yes, Risa.
I appreciate all this information. I agree with you, David, that I know very little about how this all breaks down with affordable housing. And that's been one of the problems in the last, 48 hours or 24 hours, is that this has all been sprung on everyone in this neighborhood. And so I haven't had any time to learn anything or to even, engage in conversation with any of you about how it all works. And that's part of what we were hoping for today, and especially since Vicki indicated that we have until the first of the year in terms of meeting the Bird's, financial tax needs or whatever to work on this. What we had hoped for today was to kind of have a pause or a delay of decision on your part until we could. It just so happens I came up for the weekend for little R&R, and that didn't stand for real estate, I can assure you. But here we are. And so that was, that I think I've asked the questions I wanted to ask. I don't know if any of the other neighbors want to speak, but that was our goal for today, was to request some kind of window of time for us to do our legwork.
Risa, I'm gonna come to Dave. As we move forward through this process, we would love to make ourselves available, not just at meetings, which we have twice a month. On the website, we have a lot of information that you can start reading. But if any of us you'd like to have coffee, telephone calls, would love to work to educate you. We spend a lot of time working on this, so if we can be helpful, please reach out to our emails, and we'll take appointments and do what we can to educate you the best we can. Dave?
You said what I was going to say. I think that most of the people on the board and the staff would happily sit down with you in person or over the phone to discuss the project, discuss what we know about affordable housing, and whatever it takes to, whatever questions you have, I think any of us would be happy to address moving forward, not just in a meeting. So feel free to reach out to us, and we'll sit down and talk.
I'm gonna come to Risa. I think you mentioned you were good. I'm gonna come to Brooke real quick, and then I have two other members of the public I know want to ask questions. Brooke.
I just want to make a technical question for those of you who aren't familiar with Zoom. In the bottom right-hand corner, there's a button called Reactions, and when you click on that, at the bottom bar is the raise hand feature, and that will pop you up to the top of the list. So Brian knows you'd like to comment.
Great. Now I'm going to come to Mollie Finkel. Thank you, Brooke. Mollie, go ahead.
So I obviously agree with what Risa just said in terms of seconding that request for delay, just so that we can learn as much as possible. This is, your language. This is something you guys do all the time. And Caroline, I understand your intent here, and I think it's admirable, you and your family. But for all of us who don't live in the world of land trusts and real estate, working through all the different options down the line will probably be better suited for everyone if we can understand as many of those options at the outset, not as they're sort of propositioned. So thanks.
Thank you, Mollie. Galen Gardner, okay, there you are. You have a question. Can you unmute?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Hi, so I'm Galen Gardner. I'm a direct abutter to this property. And needless to say, I'm not happy about it. And it's gonna take me a long time to wrap my head around this. And I have millions of questions, but I guess my biggest question is, how do you spend public money and not tell anyone about what you're spending it on? And why do all these town boards meet in executive session so that the rest of us don't know anything, and it's till it's too late to say anything at all? Now, what I've witnessed on the Bird property over the years is so much wildlife. Harrier hawk that lives there every year. I just took a picture of a giant buck that was standing in my yard. It's all gone. Okay, never mind all the natural vegetation and everything else, the peace and quiet. So that is disturbing to me. And, I know you're all overjoyed about it, but again, I think the neighborhood is in shock, and the neighborhood feels betrayed and sad and overwhelmed. I didn't sleep at all last night, and I have to work. I work 3 jobs, and I have for 20 years to afford what I have here. And so I have a lot of questions. I have questions about the limits on septic capability. Is it a lug 2 zone? And if it's 3 acres, how does that fit into lug 2? Where are the roads going to be? What are the schedules for building going to be? What are the number of dwellings going to be? Is there going to be a cut onto Surfside Road? And this whole principle of money for ownership, I want to know about that. I want to know about how these properties are going to be maintained. I have a million questions, and I'm sorry that I'm raining on your parade of joy, but to me, it doesn't feel like that. It just feels like we as the neighborhood were left out of the discussion. And now, we don't even know anything. It's just going to be developed over time. And you're willing to talk to us now, but you weren't willing to talk to us before. So that's how I feel. Thanks.
Thank you, Galen. Dave?
Again, Galen, I understand how you feel, but we have not decided how this property is going to be developed, other than we're hoping to do ownership units on it. So yes, you guys, we can't do real estate transactions in this town any other way than an executive session. It would just skew the process. But now that this is happening, this is when everyone has time to sit at the table and talk and give input. So I understand, Galen, where you're coming from, and I appreciate it, but I think that it's unfair to categorize us as sneaking around and making transactions. Thank you.
We have two more hands up. Thank you, Dave. Penny, do you want to jump in there before I?
Yeah, I just really want to quickly, I want to remind people, we're talking about acquisition today. We're not talking about development. That's down the line. As I understand it, we're simply talking about acquiring the vacant land from the Bird family. Thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Don?
Yeah, I would just like to echo that sentiment. This is truly just acquisition, and it would work this way no matter who was purchasing it. There wouldn't be prior knowledge, and say it was a developer, they would buy it and then they would bring forth their plans, and then the public input process starts. I mean, realistically, with the town, you'll have far more public input than any private owner would put forth. But this is truly just the acquisition stage. And I don't know, I don't really understand what the delay would be needed for, because I mean, unless the trust decides that they don't want to take this opportunity, because now it starts that we start discussing what happens with the property.
So I'm going to go by length of time. I have 4 hands up. Dave Fredericks.
Good evening. Can you folks hear me?
We can.
I apologize. I'm driving, so I'm a little distracted. I'm sorry.
Be safe.
I am. First and foremost, thank you guys for what you're doing. Right? We all, I think everybody on the phone, I think cares about all of this, and I know that you folks do. I think I know everybody on the board. But as background, I've been involved in this issue, goes back to helping Bill Horan figure out how to finance covenant homes. I did one for a lot of people who don't know. My family did one, and my daughter lives in a covenant home. I've done probably a dozen of those. I've been very active with Habitat for a long time. So I'm committed to this as well. I built a tertiary. I really didn't want one, but I had a lot of friends saying, by that, for those on the phone, it was a 600 square foot house that we rent year round to a local carpenter. So I'm on board on all of that. And I think I appreciate the additional understanding from the town attorney on the issue related to the restriction and the reality that if something really couldn't be worked out, there was an avenue that's helpful. Dawn, where I think some people want to, I think they look for a week or some time, is to wrap around their heads so they can get comfortable that they should support this and understand that you've had several weeks to think about it. But I think that's in the back.
Dave, you've gone out of service.
Minds, and they want to get, there's a path for their. How about now?
You're slightly back in, 75%.
Okay, thank you. So the only question I would ask the group, because again, I think I'm committed to this, but I do love the neighborhood of the Surfside area. And I heard, the present owners and their description of it. And I would put out something that's important to me, that the underlying zoning has developed a character. And I understand 40Bs, I think, as well as most people that have studied this. And I would just ask you to be very careful to try to align any use with the existing zoning. It fight the urge to go further than that zoning. That's my one request to the board to really challenge themselves with. Again, if we are going to respect each other and try to find ways to do this, the town or this need should not exempt zoning by pulling special rules into play. Even though they may be helpful, they're really not fair to all the other abutters who have had to play by the rules. If I was allowed tomorrow to add another tertiary to help a friend, I would, but the zoning doesn't allow it. Therefore, I've never pushed it. So I'd ask you to find that balance in your planning.
Thank you, Dave. It sounds like Dave's got finished his comments. I'm going to come to Rick DeFranzio. Rick?
Yeah, in the interest of expediency, for the most part, I'm very much in agreement with Dave. So Dave's echoed a lot of my concerns. I would like to say that I can envision an appropriate use of the property that would be, that would be acceptable and tasteful. And but what's acceptable and tasteful is, if we ask 10 different people, we get 10 different answers. So I definitely understand the problem that the island's faced with. I'm again interested in helping. I would like to commend the Bird family for their attempt to do something to make things better. Someday, hopefully, I'll be in the same position to be so generous. So, but the one thing I have learned in today's meeting, and I think is very important, is that my main concern coming into this meeting was that in ratifying this contract, we might be restricting, the town may be restricting itself to do something that would prevent it from looking at all of the possibilities and the best scenarios. And from what I've heard, I feel more comfortable now that the town, who will be a good steward for all of us, hopefully, in determining the right moves to make, based on the kind of comments that Dave Fredericks just made, providing the town is not restricted in any way from doing what they determine to be the right thing and appropriate thing, I am feeling better. Prior to today's meeting, I was uncertain that I didn't know what restrictions existed in the agreement, of course, because it's none of my business when those restrictions are being drawn out. But it did concern me, and I'm feeling a little bit better now, and I'm glad that the town can put its hand in and making sure that the right approach is taken. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rick. Caroline Ellenbird.
Thank you. I just want to say that I really appreciate hearing the concerns of our neighbors, and to echo the comments that this is about an acquisition. It's not about what's going to be built there. And one part of our initial impetus to do this, was when we realized that in putting it on the market, we were expected to bulldoze that land, to clear a large swath of it so that a very, very large house or mansion and a swimming pool and a guest house could all be on there. And for me, imagining that land with the harrier hawks and the deer and all those things used in that way, just to say that as a neighbor and a steward of the area, I'm hopeful that this may actually be a way where we get there's more control over the ultimate impact on that land than there might be in an open sale at a high price for the biggest thing that could come in. So I'm sorry that it wasn't set up that we could all be in communication before, but I really do believe that this is the moment for the beginning of the communication, and I feel excited about that possibility. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Caroline. Galen, I'm going to come to you one last time, and then I see Martin's hand up, but he has sent me a text. He's just echoing Dave Fredericks' thoughts, or not a text, but a message. So Galen, the floor is yours.
Well, I basically typed in the message that you got it, Brian, because you're sort of the person that gets the messages I'm seeing from the chat.
So it says, my main point is that I am in shock and it doesn't feel good. And while many will not express their shock like I did, believe me, they feel it.
Yeah, so what I want to say is, if we're going to have a real conversation, then my angst and alarm and many other emotions need to be taken into consideration. I bought this lot because it was a big 2-acre lot. I lived on Mount Vernon Farm my whole life. We sold it to the land bank. Unfortunately, I got divorced. I needed to sell my house and find another place to live. And the only thing I wanted was a big wide open space. And I think that the rest of my neighbors want that too. And now it's gone. So that is what it is. I don't expect any retorts on that. But unless this is happening right next to you, you don't know how I feel. Nobody does. Okay. So again, I need time to lick my wounds and figure out my own plans. And then, as this project grinds forward, we'll see what happens. We'll see how good a neighbor you actually are. But I'm not in favor.
So Thank you, everyone, for joining the meeting, the letters and the participation. I think Caroline put it very well that this is an excellent opportunity for an open opportunity for open communication. I'll look for a motion, and if we do to proceed forward to move forward with the property, we look forward to being good neighbors with good neighbors. So with that, I'll look to the board for a member for a motion. Brooke?
I want to ask Vicki, is there a form for the motion that you prefer?
I think it would just be echoing probably what is in on the agenda, that you approve and vote to execute the purchase and sale agreement between Alpine Bird and Donald Bird, trustees of Chandler Surfside Realty Trust, for the property at 8 White Street, Nantucket. I think that would do it.
So
And
moved
any
as articulated.
authorization of chair and vice chair or the entire board, Vicki?
You may want the entire board to sign this agreement, the votes, yes.
Yeah, so moved with the normal procedure of the entire board signing the documents.
Second.
It's a motion from Brooke and a second from Reema. Any discussion? Seeing none, vote by roll call. Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
Reema Sherry?
Aye.
Don Holgate?
Aye.
Brooke Mohr?
Aye.
And Brian Sullivan's an aye. Tucker Holland, do you have a?
I just wanted to thank the neighbors who showed up today and expressed their thoughts. It's very helpful, and we look forward to more of those conversations, as Dave Iverson suggested. And I particularly want to thank Kara and the Bird family. This is really an incredible thing that they are doing for the year-round community, and a real form of leadership, and would love for others to follow their examples. So we're extremely grateful. And as you said so well, Mr. Chair, we're looking forward to being good neighbors with good neighbors.
Again, Caroline, thank you very much. Dave?
I think that we should look at this and the abutters should look at this as the beginning, not the end. Like, oh, they signed the paper, it's over. No, that this is the beginning of our interaction with you as abutters to help us figure out what's appropriate. So thank you.
Agreed. Okay, so moving on to the next item. Item number 6. Or no, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Transfer fee strategy funding. Is there more to discuss here after last meeting?
I mean, I think we spent a lot of time, obviously, talking about White Street today. Certainly, this is going to be something to follow up on, but we can talk about it further at the next meeting.
Okay. Moving to item number 9, other business, upcoming meetings, presently all planning, November meeting, Tuesday the 16th. Today was the other one. So this is a regularly scheduled. Anybody have any issue with the 16th or December 14th? No. Board comments? Seeing none, I'll just comment. Thank you, everybody, for taking an extra meeting this week and joining. Penny?
I was just going to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay.
This session of our regular meeting for the purpose of reconvening an executive session for the purpose of considering the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property where an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body, not to return to the regular meeting.
Is there a second? Second from Brooke by roll call. Dave Iverson?
Aye.
Penny Dye?
Aye.
Reema Sherry?
Aye.
Don Holgate?
Aye.
Brooke Mohr?
Aye.
Brian Sullivan's an aye. And we have another link?
You all have another link. Yep.